That guy sitting down, he's on our side.
Which one? One sitting down. Okay.
He's on our side.
He reminds me of.
He must have got voted in, didn't he?
Yeah, voted in.
Because he was back here behind us that one time.
He on the one of the on the board now.
Yeah, he sat here.
He used to be a gamer.
Yeah.
He was a search and rescue. He still was search and rescue. I'm with search and rescue.
Yeah.
And we go up to the park every morning at 8 o'clock, get all the trash up, rescue squad. That first search and rescue gets the money out of that. 8 o'clock. Sunday, get done about 2 o'clock.
Board back in order. Entertain a motion to come back in closed session.
I move that we come back to from closed session to open session.
So second.
Second.
All in favor, start with Bob.
I vote yes.
Dr. Left, yes. I vote yes.
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 All right, I'd entertain a motion to certify that we talked about what we said we was going to talk about.
I move that we certify executive session. We only address those issues that we went into executive session for.
I have a second. So have a motion and a second. Joe Neal?
Yes.
Yes. I say yes.
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 All right, Bob, if you would do the invocation and the pledge.
All right. If you'll stand, please. Heavenly Father, thank you for a beautiful day. Thank you for those days when it just pours the rain. I'm glad you have control of things rather than we pray that we'd have the wisdom and the courage and the knowledge to make the things that are pleasing to you and what's right and just and good for the people of Carroll County. Father, we ask that everybody here, they have safe travels home, safe travel mercies, and you put an angel with them to get them home tonight safely. Father, again, we come before you with sickness, and our employee Nick is in critical condition, and we ask your healing hands on Nick. Father, help us to be better people. Forgive us for our sins. In the name of Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight. I see we've got a big crowd here. Hope everything goes smooth and we'll get you out of here early. All right, do I need Need a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I make a motion, approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, there's a motion to approve the agenda and a second. We'll start with Joe Neal.
Yes.
Yes.
I say yes.
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 All right. Has everybody got to look at the consent agenda? Is anything in there that needs to be pulled out or looked at? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. We'll start with Bob.
I vote yes.
Dr.
Yes.
Littrell? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Motion carried. All right. We'll drop down to Twin County Chamber, Bess Dixon.
Good evening, gentlemen. It's good to be with you again. Thank you again for the opportunity to address this body. As promised, I said that I would keep you abreast of what's going on with the Twin County Chamber of Commerce, since you are stakeholders in this process and in this organization. So that is what I'm here to do this evening, along with the support that I have from two of the board members, Franklin Jett and Teresa Catron, both of whom represent your Carroll County area. And just to give you a brief update, in the last 5 months, what we have been working on, the website is nearing completion and will be complete by the time that we open our doors officially at our new location. So that one-time project is well underway, and we're pleased with the progress that is happening there. There is also a board handbook and policies and procedure manual that are nearing completion as well. They will be ready for implementation by the 2019 season, which will be the first full year that I will be there as the director, hopefully, anyway. And then our move to our new location right next door is complete as well. And I don't care what anybody says, if you're moving 5,000 miles or 500 feet, the process is the same. And it's never pleasant. But we are ensconced and we're ready to open the doors and celebrate our new home. It's a very professional looking place. We're in Dr. Tuck's old office, and so the space is much better and nicer for us, and we are able to showcase the treasures of your county and Hillsville and Grayson and Carroll and Galax as well. So we're pleased. We're pleased with our move. We also have outlined our plan of work for 2019, which is the crux of what I want to share with you this evening. We are going to be focusing on workforce development because we are a business organization and that's what chambers do. And so we're working very closely with the workforce development, Workforce Unlimited, as well as other private practices in terms of establishing a series of workshops and programs to teach potential employees the ropes, fundamentally. Everything from soft skills in terms of what is needed in communications to get the job that you want, as well as the trades that need to be established in order to get the specified training that is needed for certain positions. We're going to start, and I'm going to start at the back end and work toward the front end. We're going to be creating a young professional network group. It is already under the leadership of one of our newest members, and there is a core of about a half a dozen new members who are implementing that and putting that piece together, so that we are finding that there are a lot of young people who have either returned into this region or have never left and seeking or very established in different professional occupations as well as entrepreneurs. So we want to reinforce that and get them together so that they can share ideas going forward. We are going to be implementing a junior entrepreneur program for grades 8 through 12. This will be open for all children in that age group. They will be learning to establish and create a business plan, financial planning, and then they will create and implement a business or a service each and every year. The first focus we're looking at is going to be kind of fun. It's going to be a mobile miniature golf course. And there will be 3 holes representing Carroll County, 3 holes representing Galax, and 3 holes representing Grayson. Hopefully it will be movable, it will be engineering, it will be mathematics, it will be science, it will be art. And so all of those, they will be, all those cross-instructional opportunities will be there for the kids to make this happen. I am working with a gentleman from Grayson County who has done this sort of thing before, so he is interested in helping spearhead this. And I think what they may be creating is a template for other communities to create these golf courses for themselves. They can go to festivals, they can go to school lawn fetes, they can go wherever they need to go. And it is going to be a great marketing tool to showcase Southwest Virginia. The Youth Leadership Program will also be initiated. All of these will be coming forward in 2019. This is going to be for grades 5 through 7, and the theme of it is going to be based on The Wizard of Oz, because we're going to teach children to develop and build those characteristics that are needed for effective leadership going forward so that they can take positions like yours and stay home and be good citizens for all of us. And those skills obviously are found in the 4 main characters: brains, courage, heart, and the determination to get home and stay home. And the last implement is the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. We are working closely with the foundation so that we can bring this reading program, preschool literacy program, to all children of this entire region, all 17 zip codes, from the age of birth through the age of 5 years. What that does is lay the foundation for the love of learning. And having been involved in the Dolly Parton Imagination Library for close to 20 years now, I have seen the incredible effects that this program has had, not only on children but on families, because obviously in their younger years, before they're able to read, they are being read to. I remember when I went to Pigeon Forge for a storytelling time with Miss Parton when I was employed over there, and a little girl came up to me and said, "Mama, Mama, there are my books." So I went down and I spoke to this little girl. She was 3 years old, and I said, does Miss Dolly bring you these books? She said, yeah, I have that and that and that and that and that. And she knew every book she had. Well, her mother, who lived in a holler in East Tennessee, pulled me aside and she said, may I tell you something? And I said, of course. She said, my 3-year-old daughter's teaching me how to read. And so we never know what we can, how we can impact others' lives, and in some of the most unusual ways imaginable. But I know that this program has worked, and it has worked very effectively wherever it has been implemented. Ms. Parton just installed the 100 millionth book in the Library of Congress about 2 months ago. So again, it is open to all kids. It is a birthright. There is no educational or social economic structure to this. It is given to these children just because they are children. This is important for the Chamber of Commerce, and they decided to champion this last month. And it's important to the Chamber because this puts the Chamber in the very center of our commitment to community. And if you'll recall, when I spoke with you gentlemen last time, we talked about the three-legged stool of commerce, culture, and community. And this is the single most important community piece. And so this gets us in the homes of the residents. And last but not least, I extend an invitation to you. We are beginning our programming. We are going to have a blood drive here in Hillsville on Thursday. There has been marketing information out there. It will be at the farmers market from 3 until 7. Stop by and give it a pump and see if we can't get, because all of the blood will be used for local resources. We're going to be doing this through Blood Assurance, and we have chosen Hillsville to be the launching pad for that. We are also going to be having our first business breakfast. It's going to be done by a member, and it's a business breakfast that is geared to entrepreneurs and self-employed people who are in need of insurance services. And then, of course, on the 21st, which is 1 week from Thursday, is our open house. And so I hope that all of you will be able to attend. And once again, I thank you as stakeholders for your continued support of the Chamber. What you do for us is pivotal, and it is time that we do in return for the people and the citizens of your county. We're on the cusp of further growth and engagement in your community and, of course, into the entire region of Southwest Virginia. And again, I thank you for your time tonight, and I'll entertain any questions or comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Beth. I know the Chamber of Commerce does great work for the Twin Counties.
Thank you.
It does a lot of good work for us.
We're going to continue to do so. Thank you very much.
Tina Billings. Finally get to meet you. I've talked to you several times.
I have some handouts
Okay.
to make this go a little quicker. I don't know who on these ones.
Pass it in. Thank you.
Give me one of my pictures.
All right, I'll move through the information pretty quickly. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I have communicated with Mr. Hill several times. Bill Carrico kind of referred me when I started asking questions about the process. But those of you who are familiar with the low water bridge, which is pictured on the front here, that is the bridge we're proposing to have a name for, and I'll walk through rationale for that. On the next page, our family story actually began to where we have it in 1723, and that was the birth of Thomas Dixon. He immigrated to America at age 11, and his grandson then later homesteaded 3,700 acres down the New River over in Carroll County. My mom actually started working on this volume here that we published last year. She's actually with me tonight. She's one of 4 surviving grandchildren of the gentleman who ran the ferry there, so she was here with me tonight. In terms of proposing the name, you know, we looked at the Jackson Ferry Bridge in Austinville, and that gives us a really good historical point of reference. Since 1835, the Dixon family has owned, it started with 3,700 acres. We still live on land there in that area. Some of it has changed hands, but we're still there on the river. And the Dixons ran Dixon Ford up and through the early 1900s. And at that point, when the dams were built, the water was too deep, and so they ended up setting up the ferry to get people across the river. The low water bridge, which there's no signage for a name for the bridge, and I couldn't find anything in the records that it had ever been, that's just what we call it. I'm not sure where that came from, but there is no signs showing that. Was constructed in the 1950s, and the ferry, the Great Flood of 1940 actually wiped it out. My great-grandfather ran the blacksmith shop in the ferry, and then after the flood, he didn't go back with it. Next page is a couple of photographs. One, Alexander, who homesteaded the land in the 1800s, and then William Oliver, who actually ran the Dixon Ferry. He's on the next page. And I included a couple of topical maps. Dixon Ford, it shows a designation where it was and where people crossed the river. And then the next map is really kind of hard to reproduce, but about centerways on the right, you can see Dixon Ferry, and that's where the ferry was up until 1940. And we didn't want to show up with a petition and a bunch of names. We actually wanted to come get, hopefully get your support of the project. And then I understand from Mr. Hill and from Bill Carrico, there's a petition and paperwork. We have to get signatures of people in the county, and then the expense for the signage if it's approved, which we're willing to cover. Questions?
I think you had a question about whether or not we could do electronic signatures.
I do.
We need to address that with council. Is there a way that we can accept
Can we
those
use
electronic signatures?
petition, or do they need to be handwritten?
Yeah, I would need to work the code on that.
Okay.
I think of the requirement for 100 signatures, is that correct? 150, what is our requirement for the bridge name?
I had heard 100, but I haven't seen an application.
I know we have a policy, but I'm not.
And you can
not
have
really-
you can have this copy.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I need to come back here to get an application to get the process started, or just take this? Okay.
I
All
don't
right.
think you'd have any problem getting
Yeah.
100 signatures.
Oh, yeah, and if we need to get them written, we can do that, that's fine.
I think it's a great idea.
I mean, that's probably that bridge, and the one at Jackson Ferry was probably, you know, a couple of different ways to get to West County.
Yeah.
back
And the
in
meal
day.
that frees and the workers
Yeah,
crossing
that's
from Gay Lights.
Exactly. Forgot about the meal.
It doesn't specify whether the signatures have to be, they're not, they don't have to be affirmed. There's no notary requirement or anything like that. So I don't see a reason why you couldn't accept them.
So we may just get hard copies, because I'm not that savvy with it. I know everybody's electronic age, and I've got a couple.
More trouble than.
Yeah, it may be just simpler to get signatures and back, so. And that's.
How many electronic signatures do you have? Do you know?
We haven't started collecting. I wanted to come first and kind of let you know what we were thinking and see if you thought it was an okay idea before we move forward. But I don't, you know, we have tons of family and friends, and we have talked with people in the community, so I don't think it'll be any issue getting the signatures. And then once we have that in the application, do we bring that to the county administrator or back to this meeting, or?
County Administrator's Office.
County administrator, okay. That's the only other question I had.
In terms of the application, but the signatures have to be presented to the Board of Supervisors.
Okay. All right. Any questions for me?
I just think it's a great idea, and anything that preserves history in the region, I'm all for it.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very proud of this book. My mom started in 1968 dragging me to old courthouses to make copies of things. So it's been a long time in the making. We actually published it last year, so.
That's cool.
You know, you can sell those at the visitor center, at the farmer's market.
Yep.
Okay. We actually sold out the first publishing of it and are looking at maybe a reorder, so.
If you reorder, you might want to
Yeah,
look at
that-
that as an avenue to sell them.
Okay. Covers 11 generations of families. It's pretty cool.
Now, you do realize there's a ferry in between the low water bridge and Jackson's Ferry.
Fowler's Ferry. Yes, sir, I do. And there was
Just
a book.
happened to be kin to those.
Okay.
Okay, but
Yeah.
it wasn't as exactly on the beaten path, but,
There's a way to get across.
yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Do we have any committee appointments that we need to make?
Yeah, we just need to, I'm willing to continue to serve on B, if you're willing to reappoint me.
So we,
Three that need to be done is the IDA, the library.
I stand corrected, as so often happens. We need to reappoint Flint and Willie to the IDA.
Is he willing to
She is
serve?
willing to continue to serve if you would like to reappoint him.
He's been on IDA for a ton of years and is, and attends the meetings and so forth, and
He has
very
been
active.
since I've been here.
I'd entertain a motion.
I move that we appoint Clinton Willie to the, reappoint to the IDA.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
All right. All in favor, start with Joe Neal.
Yes. That's fine. Yes.
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 All right. So he's back on.
The second person who is willing to continue to serve in her current capacity is Janet Crowder from the library. So she would be willing to be reappointed if you were willing to reappoint her.
Is that every 2 years?
Not sure.
I know we had somebody else and then he dropped off and we appointed her, but I can't remember how long ago that was.
She was doing the remainder of someone's term.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion for Janet Crowder for the,
I move that we reappoint Janet Crowder to the library board.
is there, I have a motion, is there a second?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. We'll start with you, Bob.
Yes.
Dr. Little? Yes?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Back on again.
Last but not least, Joyce Bunn would be willing to join the social services board should you wish to appoint her.
Is that the lady that's on now?
She's not eligible for reappointment.
Yeah, I just started to say, I've been in contact since last month with people. And of course, everybody has the same thing. What are my duties? What I need to do? So before the meeting tonight, I stopped in social services and got a description of the job. So I should be prepared next month to nominate somebody. And they told me that she couldn't. She had to set out a term before she can go back on. They can serve two consecutive 4-year terms, and then
That's correct. I did not realize she had served two.
Yeah, that's what the director told me. So now that I've got a description, I'm going back to the people I've been talking to and should have a name for you next month.
Just pass that by. That works for everybody? Now we have a public hearing on the sale of property. I just need to state a time and open the public hearing. All right, we're going to have a public hearing starting at 6:31. All right, do we have anyone wish to speak on the sale of the property?
Mr. Chairman, I can give a little background information. This is the Crooked Creek 58 property there, correct? This.
Yeah, it's property ID 95-A-19B, was originally purchased by the county for the purposes of being a water processing location.
Yeah, I was on the Board of Supervisors, and at one time, we were looking at the need to service the Woodlawn and Gladeville area for water, and I think there's sewage too entered into that thing.
That's what I meant to say.
And we, at that point, using the facilities of Galax wasn't under consideration. It hadn't came up, so the feeling was that Crooked would be the logical choice. And I think it was about 14-acre site. When you go down Fattest Hill, you have to go down the creek, and it's down there, I don't know, 1,000 feet or less. And we bought a 14-acre tract of land, and as I recall, the purchase price was $100,000. And after we purchased it, then the Galax option came in to became a reality, and so we went with Galax option on sewer, and so there wasn't any need to we hung on to the property, and the IDA then has recently passed it back, right?
PSA.
PSA,
Yeah, that's correct.
some of them initials anyway, all right?
Thank you, Bob. Anyone else? Essentially, what we're going to do is property that was taken out of the tax base is going to be sold and put back into the tax base, since we no longer have a use for the, to have a water treatment place down there. Is that correct, Steve?
Yes, sir. We'll look into valuation, potential uses, and we'll figure out the best way to operate this.
All right. Any other comments?
I would hate to see the properties, us have a fireside sale and sell it for half price or something. That makes no sense. And when you look into the value, you know, it's right on, and thanks to Crooked Creek Feed Fishing, they stocked the stream down there for us, but it's done miles up the creek, but they flowed in there, so.
Yes, sir.
There's no other comments. I'll close the public hearing at 6:35. All right, now will be citizens' time.
Do you want to do it 3 minutes?
Yeah, it's 3 minutes is what we normally do for the citizens' time to speak. And if that works for everybody, we'll do citizens' time. All right, Mr. Melton.
My name's Carroll Melton. I live on 44 Colson Church Road. I want to comment about the lady come through when they was putting the water in. She come into my house. My wife, she was there. She passed away last July. But anyways, I told him I wanted the water put in. And I wanted my son. My son lives on the same property. And when they put my water in, I called down here. I don't know if the machine didn't have reverse or what. They wouldn't go back and put it across the road, but he still pays for water. He can't hook up because the water's on the other side of the road. But he still pays for it. And I called down here different times, and he hauled around. I was first sergeant in the rescue squad until I retired, quit. I'm still with search and rescue, and it looked like my word would have been good. She was right in the house, and I told her my son was gone to Hillville to Gay to get parts. And I told him he wanted the water too. Then I kept calling why they didn't put it across the road. And I don't know what happened. But he still pays for a non-hookup, but he can't hook up. I've got the meter, but I don't use it. I've got enough water in my well to furnish all the way to Woodlawn.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, Ronald, were you collecting
I've
signatures?
not got my hearing aid in. I can't hear real good.
All right,
I forgot.
Mr. Ronald Newman, were you involved in collecting names or? I was asking Mr. Ronald Newman there in the audience if he was
I
involved.
left my hearing aid. I didn't realize it was low when you're to pick up the dog.
Yeah.
But outside, I can hear.
I know exactly where you live.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And,
Okay. I just wondered why they didn't put it across the road. And I kept calling down here, the same land, I give the land to my son and to my daughter before she built. And nearly a half-mile road frontage. And I've got the meter there. And if I need the water, if my well something, the pump goes out, I can use it. But I've got it for emergency.
I know where you live. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah. Well, that woman come in the house, and I told her, I thought, well, my word should be good as anybody's word. And I found out later, when he was down there, I called. I guess the machine didn't have reverse, couldn't go back up the road. Well, I looked at it, it's like a fellow I worked with for over 8 years. He had a station wagon. He went up to Matthews Hardware, and he started out, and a woman coming in. He gets out and he stutters when he got around the woman and said, "You mind backing up? Your station wagon don't have reverse." She said, "I didn't know station wagon didn't have no reverse." He took it to get a sticker put on it, and he said everything's fine. He said, "You mind helping me push it out here?" It goes for over 8 years like that.
Yeah.
He's passed away now.
Mr. Melton, would you check with one of these ladies and get Jessica's, with the PSA, check with these ladies. Would y'all give him Jessica's telephone number so you can talk to her? Because I'm not sure.
You want my boy's number or mine?
Either one of them, probably your son's number, and have him call Jessica, or we'll call you.
We'll take his number and have.
Okay.
That'll work. I put them in the house I have to cut the clock off at the house. I can't turn it down low enough. The clock goes tick, 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 and I won't put them in. Everything's too loud. I done been back 3 times trying to get them turned down. I can get up close and I can hear it plenty. My son's number is Scott Milton. His telephone number is 733.
Scott, yeah, I know him and his son.
5052.
I don't know. That makes sense. They're just down the road. I don't know how he got on his
He
side.
pays all the time.
Yeah.
And when I pay, I'm hooked up, in an emergency, my phone goes out, especially wintertime, I can switch over.
Okay, thank you.
But I've got plenty of water. I forgot mentioned that one time, running the cash, and I counted how many gallons a minute, how long, I pumped over 7,000 gallons of water. Oh, look up where that water tank is on 620 Coast, and Coast Church Road. Mike Coon told that, I used the rod to find the water. I told him the best place, and I asked him later on, so I bought the insurance from him. I said, what was the best place? He said, right where you told me. I said, how much water can you have? He said, he couldn't measure it. And they started filling the tank up, had holes in it, and the neighbor down below, they like to flood them out. But he said he wasn't no little chemicals, no nothing.
Mr. Dillon.
I drilled 106 wells, I used the rod, and I've drilled wells where people come at our water, and I got a respect for it. Even the well up on the Honeycutt down road, the Rodney Gillespie, I drilled his, and I told him he needed to invite everybody else, because yet I couldn't measure how many gallons of water he had right in Flint Rock.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you. All right, Mr. Dillon.
All right. I appreciate you letting me speak tonight. I spoke earlier concerning the PSA's non-user fees, and I'm not going to speak a lot about them, but I'm just going to say 3 things. These 3 words, if you go home and look up, it pretty well describes a non-user fee. That's communism, extortion, and discrimination. If you look up those 3 words, you know, you may get a little closer to it. But I want to speak about something else tonight. You know, y'all have got me interested in politics. You've discriminated against me until I've got interested, so I'm going to have a little say about some things. One of them is our budget. Y'all just passed a $85.7 million budget.
Yeah.
Now, if my calculator's right, that figures up to $234,794 every 24 hours. We're a poor county. I don't know where the money's going. For every citizen in Carroll County, that's $8.10 a day. If you're a family of 4, it's $32.40 every day. For a family of 4, it's $226.80 weekly. Now, after you get through, you owe the county that much in a week. Then you got to pay your federal income tax and your Social Security, disability, and so forth. So, you know, I don't leave much. But, you know, there's a lot of things going on in the county. When you drive up out in the parking lot out there, it's full. You can't find a parking place. I don't know if they're all county employees, but, you know, we need to start spending what we make, I think. As far as jobs go, well, let me say something about taxes first. Our tax rate is 30% higher than Wythe County. I don't know why, but I do know that Wythe County's got all the jobs. Now, I saw in the paper today where there was 20 jobs created in Wildwood over here, so, you know, they said we had 24 million in it, so that's going to be, what, 1.4 million per job, if it lasts. And also, you know, you can't help but notice things. Several people over here told me that Gary LaRue was the worst county administrator they ever had. And, you know, I don't even know Gary, and I'm not trying to defend Gary. But, you know, a couple of weeks ago, I turned the TV on, he's down in Botetourt County, and he's, you know, they said he created 1,000 jobs, you know. They had a big plant coming in. Where's our jobs? Give us a chance to pay the taxes. And another thing concerning spending, I don't know why in the world does Carroll County need 3 school superintendents? I'm just giving you food for thought. My time's up.
Thank you, Mr. Dillon. Robert Patton.
I just wanted to ask a question. As board members, who do you serve? The state government, federal government, or other board members, or the people of Carroll County? I hope it's the people of Carroll County. But I just want to say that, before you start these huge projects and spending millions of dollars, I think the residents of Carroll County needs to take more part in what the money is being spent for and how much and who it's going to and why, and because ultimately they're the one that's going to be toting the burden, the taxpayer. And I think it's a kind of conflict of interest to have the same people serving on more than one board, or more than one board at a time, or one position in the local government. It's just conflict of interest, and I just can't see how that happens. And I don't think it should be any more closed-door meetings. I think everything needs to be more transparent so the people of Carroll County knows what's going on. And I just think any time you're going to be passing any laws or anything that's going to negatively affect the people of Carroll County, everyone should be notified well in advance. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert?
I'd like to thank you for hearing what I have to say, and I'm really upset concerning the water non-user fee. I don't have a meter. I don't have no blue hose sticking up out of the ground. The only thing I've got out there is a PVC pipe going down the ditch line with water in it. But yet you're charging me a non-user fee with I guess the majority of the people in the community. I live 20 miles from here, and out near Laurel School, 1753 Rescue Road. And it just seems sad that you can get this unuser fee, water unuser fee, and want to charge people for something that they're not even hooked up to. I've been there 20 years. I've got a good well. Now, I don't have a thing in the world against somebody that needs water. That's fine. If they've got iron or sulfur in their water, I understand that. And they're hooked up to it. Most of them are. But the people that are not hooked up to it and having to pay this non-user fee, that's baloney. I mean, it's not right. And you wouldn't want to be charged that. It's got kind of like, to me, like pouring water off a duck's back. It's useless, And if people want to pay it, that should be their prerogative, If you want to do something like that, that's fine. But you shouldn't be putting a burden on somebody that's don't have the money. I've more or less got one job, and that's retirement, and that's where I'm at. And I don't have the money to foot out every little bit, And I hope you'll take this into consideration, what I'm saying, and hear what I'm saying, and do something about it. And I appreciate the people that's come up to speak about it, and I think they've done a great job, and I just push it on. I've had several people in the community that we went around to talk to about the non-user fee, and they're upset about it just the same as I am. A lot of them are not here, but I am here, and I would like to know some answers. If you could give me some answers of why that you charge people for something that they're not even using. Can y'all answer that?
The reason the whole thing came about was that Carroll County was getting water grants for water, put in water service, and we were basically getting them out and out grant, and a lot of times it would be less than, instead of us having to pay $1 for the construction and so forth, we got it for less than half of that, because it came from a federal government, and it was out and out grants and low interest loans. And originally, we didn't do the, as I understand it, the user fees, but later on, the Travis Jackson, and who was he with? USDA. He came back to the board and said, we can no longer do that. If you want, if you want a low interest loan and part of it an out and out grant to put water in systems in the county, then it has to be mandatory hookup. And so the county went to mandatory hookup to get low interest loans to construct water lines. And that's why it came about. The one advantage to having, everything's good and bad that we deal with. The bad is some people have good wells or spring, and they could care less. Then you got their neighbor next door has iron ore or sulfur in their water, and they can't drink their water. So there's good and bad.
Yeah, I understand
You don't want it, feel like you don't need it.
Right.
Somebody else, and I grew up drinking, everybody on Shorts Creek had red hair because there was so much iron ore in the water.
Yeah.
I thought my family all had red hair, and I thought that Fruit of the Loom only came in pink.
Yeah.
Because my mother, when she washed her clothes, the underwear was pink. Rex, you got pink underwear?
I wear black T-shirts,
Well,
so I don't have to wear them pink.
But anyway, I tell you all that. Again, everything's good and bad. What's really good for one is probably bad for somebody else, and you take a mixture. One benefit from putting in water lines is that used to be if you were about 5 miles from fire department, then you went into what the insurance companies labeled protection class 10, okay? And your rates were about double what somebody who had fire hydrants, what theirs was. And a benefit that helped everybody was that if you're within so many 100 feet of a fire hydrant, you drop from protection class 10 to protection class 9. And if there's a water line goes close by you, your house insurance probably dropped a lot. If you talk to your insurance agent, they are be giving you a discount for water. And the word mandatory, by the way,
Communism.
Well, it may be. The voters of Carroll County, by the way, during that time, they voted out 6 Board of Supervisor members, and by and large, I would say that the feeling has reversed, where there may be a handful of folks on the line that just don't want it or like it or whatever. Majority of people do, because Carroll was digging wells, and now we've gone to a system with County, and we're not pumping the water table down lower and lower, and the water is guaranteed to be good. Another advantage, if you use that water, you're guaranteed that it is tested and treated on a regular basis, and you have clean drinking water.
Well, as so many people I talked to talked about the chlorine being in the water, and they said they can't even drink water. One guy I talked to said that if it comes out of the refrigerator ice cold, they can stomach to drink it. Other than that, it's got so much chlorine in it, they can't stand it. And as far as the clothes, I understand that. Catherine Kyle Frazier lived down the road from me, right across the road from Laurel, and they always had like red clothes, so to speak. When they washed you, they'd have to take their white shirts or whatever, or sheets to the laundromat and have them washed. And that's fine. They are hooked up to it, and that's great. But I'm not hooked up to it. I don't have a meter. I don't have anything out there. And you're charging me for an unuser fee.
Well, we didn't have any choice to put the line in. I will, he's got the floor. I will say to you, the same thing that I told my dear mother, okay? And she couldn't drink the water. She always bought her water, okay? And I said to Mom many times, I said, Mom, if you ever had your water tested, you might think when the test came back and you found out what was in your water, okay? And there are people have well in the front yard and a septic in the back, and I would tell my own mother, I'd say, Mom, you ought to have your water tested, but you might be in for a shock. And that's what I told my mom. And so I've told you everything I know and so forth. But,
I understand that, but you're not explaining to me why that you're charging me for a non-user fee, and I'm not even hooked up to it. Why should I have to pay my neighbor's water bills? I guess what I'm saying.
Well, okay, I'll tell you something else. My dear mother was paying for the water bill, and she didn't even have county water close because the taxpayers, we have to subsidize the Public Service Authority, and they not only, at least you got a line there you could hook to, but some of these folks, like down at Dougspur, it'll be a cold day before they ever get hooked on, and they're helping subsidize water, okay? Doesn't answer your questions.
No, it don't.
I'm sorry.
Water is something you can't live without. Decisions were made by the leadership in this county. Developing water infrastructure is tremendously expensive. There are some people who would not have the water that they need to live without the decisions that were made to develop that infrastructure. To get the most economical money to get the infrastructure, we got loans that there are strings attached to it where it's required for everybody.
That's where you messed up.
Excuse me, sir. Just one
That's where you
second.
messed up.
Okay, perhaps we did, perhaps we didn't. I'm trying to answer the question now. So everybody needs to pay the connection fee in order to have those rates on that financing. If we didn't have that financing, we could go and get higher financing, and we could raise your taxes to pay for it. One way or another, if you're going to have the water infrastructure, it's got to be paid for. And it's really no different than people that don't have children paying for other people's children to go to school. It's no different than paying for roads that you don't drive on, that somebody else needs for their business to be viable. So if you don't agree with that, that's fine. That's another thing we're allowed to disagree. We're allowed to protest. We're allowed to say you don't like how you're being treated. We understand that, and we respect that. But the answer to your question is the leadership of this county decided that people should have the water that they need to live, and they went ahead and made arrangements to pay for it. But that's the answer.
I'm not arguing the fact that people need the water. That's cool. What I'm saying, I don't have a meter, no blue hose, no nothing. And I'm getting charged just like a trash truck going by my house. It goes by my house, but I'm not getting charged for trash
Do you have a
hookup.
child in school right now?
Huh?
Do you have a child in school?
No, I do not.
You're helping to pay to educate the children that are in school now.
But when my son was going to school, we paid his school. Daniel, we paid his school support. We didn't pay for John Doe across the road or our next door neighbors.
Daniel's school as well.
Now, what Mr. Truitt is saying is, when you build a road, let the people that live on the road pay for the road. That's what he's saying. That's totally against the Constitution of the United States. All taxpayers pay for the roads. It's not just the people that lives on the road that pays for it, it's all people.
Right.
And the water should be no different.
Amen.
The Constitution says that.
And the
Water is
Constitution also says that
Hang on.
I think we need to end it, but we have a responsibility for the well-being of all the citizens. And I can tell you that the putting in water that's guaranteed to be clean has allowed people to build all through the county and stuff.
Well, why didn't y'all help me pay my well water when I had my well drilled in?
Yeah, I do too.
All right. At that, Robert, at that time, that was what was required. It's what is required at this point in time. Any water system that's put in, we required the non-user fee. There are people on the board that are for and against the user fee. And it will probably be addressed sometime in the future. It won't be addressed tonight because I know one of the members, our chairman, is not here tonight. That's why I'm having to fill in. But people have spoke to the PSA and they spoke to the Board of Supervisors. I know people who don't like the user fee that's on this board now. And it may come for a vote, it may be half and half, and it will stay the way it is at this point in time. I'm been looking at contacting USDA to see if it is in fact mandatory that everybody pays a non-user fee. But that's kind of the way we're stuck in time at this point in time. There's nothing we can do about that. Now, if it changes, it may not change everybody that's already hooked up or paying the non-user fee. It may not even change that. I mean, that's the thing, the reality we have to look at. But it will be addressed again.
I hope so, because Coy Hill was on the Board of Supervisors. That trash truck thing dropped like a hot potato.
Right. Well,
but yet you're wanting to charge people non-user fee, and I don't even have a meter.
Right.
That's not right.
We understand that. We appreciate you coming in. And
very few things, though, that I've ever done that would justify me being arrested or whatever. So I pay a substantial amount of taxes for the sheriff. And
No, I pay taxes.
And
Believe me.
we're going around in a circle.
Yeah,
we need to move on.
We need to move on. You've already had a chance to speak. We'll just give you one quick sentence.
I did call the USDA in Whitfield.
All right.
And the guy that was responsible for issuing these grants at that time, back when this decision was made, told me in no uncertain words that they would never put wording in the contract that required this non-user fee. And he was working in that position at that time, but he's not now. There's another guy took his place. But I talked to him about that. So I don't know where it's at. What's going on? That's
All right. Well, I know where we can get the answer.
Travis Jackson, who was over USDA and over those loans and grants for that, he spoke to the entire board, and that was his language, mandatory hookups. And I'm just telling you, 6 people vacated the board because of mandatory. And then in about 4 years, you had all these folks up here demanding water. The water why don't you have water at whatever?
everybody should have looked at that day.
All right. Mr. Truitt, would you get us the agreements for the loans that we have from the water systems? And we can look at that and see whether it's listed in there where it's mandatory or not. If that would be, I mean, there's what, 8 or 10 loans that we have? I mean, I want to solve personally myself. I'd like to know this.
I think we actually already have them in the file.
If you go back to the minutes where Travis Jackson spoke to the board, I mean, the board was opposed to mandatory hookups, but we sure like the idea of getting 30-cent dollars.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, that brochure that y'all handed out, it said right there on that paper that you could unhook anytime that you wanted to, and y'all going right against what you're saying. You're just more or less contradicting yourself.
Well, there's things change over time, the board changes over time, so we will look at it. It may be addressed and it may not be addressed, but we're looking investigating and looking at the loans, see what's required there, and then we'll go forward if that's works with everybody.
Appreciate it, Rick.
Is there anybody else that wants to speak on another issue? Ma'am, what's your name?
Linda Montgomery.
Linda, would you please come forward, please?
Linda, I'll look for you back
Who's that
there,
fellow
and I
sitting beside
couldn't
us
see
back
you
there?
behind
You could not see
Ronald
me.
Newman. I didn't know where you were.
That's okay. First of all, let me say, please don't time me for 3 minutes because I'm speaking on behalf of about 12 dozen or so people. And I did discuss this with Mr. Martin, and he said, take what time you need. It'll probably take me about 10 to 15 minutes to discuss what I've got to discuss. So, once again, I will tell you, good evening, gentlemen. My name is Linda Montgomery, and I am a school bus driver for Carroll County Schools. I am here to speak on behalf of the school bus drivers and special needs aides that are contracted but with no benefits. They're better known as newer contracts, non-benefits. We receive no benefits at all, even though we have the same responsibilities and do the very same job as the other full-time contract drivers who have full benefits. Mr. Hill and the Board of Supervisors. First, we would like to say thank you for your time and consideration of our concerns. Also, we appreciate the service that the supervisors provide to the citizens of the county. We are well aware that right now in your minds, you are probably thinking this is a school board matter. However, we have discussed this with the school board on May the 8th, 2018. I personally was told in a one-on-one conversation prior to the meeting that the budget had already been completed and basically nothing could be done for the upcoming year. Personally, having worked for many years in upper management in the corporate setting and having experience with numerous budgets over those years, no budget is etched in stone. No budget is etched in stone. If nothing else can be done, we would suggest that you utilize the category line item of discretionary spending, which typically is included in all budgets for unexpected occurrences, emergencies, etc. Also, we are aware of the fact that the Board of Supervisors have the responsibility of oversight of taxpayer money, which does include our tax dollars. And to that, we say thank you. Therefore, we respectfully request that as our elected representatives, please take the time to listen to our concerns and our request. We are unsure if the Board of Supervisors are aware of the fact that in July 2015, the school board voted to cease offering any benefits to all new full-time contracted bus drivers. Basically, all that a new full-time contracted bus driver receives is a piece of paper called a contract. for all the hard work that they do. This decision that was made created two classes of bus drivers, the haves and the have-nots. All other full-time contracted drivers have full benefits, and new full-time contracted drivers have no benefits at all, even though we have the very same duties and we do the very same job. My question to you is, what do you think in your mind and your reasoning would be the right thing to do? On May the 8th, 2018, we requested of the school board, same contract, same benefits package for the very same job. We are told the budget is already done and nothing can be done to give the benefits to the new full-time contracted drivers. So, I would emphasize to you all that the new full-time contracted bus drivers are such a small number, that we're small in number. I would say a dozen or so, okay? A dozen of us or so. So I would implore you to help us get the benefits while the number is small and it is financially feasible. Then all drivers are equal. Then as new drivers are hired, they can be added one at a time. The second problem that was created by the decision is an extreme shortage of bus drivers. Before this decision, most drivers had to start by being a substitute because full-time contracted routes were few and far between. Each of us had to substitute while praying for a full-time contracted route to open. This is not true today. The shortage of bus drivers is a reality and is evidenced in many, many ways. However, let me say, the shortage is not due to retirements and personal illnesses. Primarily, it is due to no benefits. If you go back and check and ask how many people call about driving a bus, and you would ask, once that they're told there's no benefits, click, okay? It is not due to illnesses and personal illnesses nor retirements. Primarily, as I said, it's due to no benefits. Bus garage mechanics have to cover bus routes on almost a daily basis, which takes them away from working on the buses. Also, never-ending advertisements for school bus drivers needed. You see that everywhere, such as the local newspaper, the school system website, but most of all, the huge signs at the red light. And even if potential drivers do inquire, not just anyone can crawl in a bus seat and drive a school bus, at least not legally and professionally. This is a CDL license with a school bus endorsement. Obtaining this license, and you know I'm saying the truth, obtaining this license is not easy. Much time must be invested in obtaining and maintaining this license. Also, this license is monetarily expensive. Just to mention a few things. There are a few things that we have to do to get this license. First of all, there's training, and might I say that this is my second time of driving a bus. I drove it many years ago when my little boys was growing up, and that was my choice. Then I went off and did something else for many years, and then I came back when I retired. And even though I had drove for 20 years in the past, when I came back, I had to invest training of 40 hours classroom, 10 hours driving the bus without students, 10 hours driving a bus with students, passing the DMV test, passing a required physical and an annual thereafter, pass a background check, and I'm talking an FBI, Virginia State Police, Department of Social Services. This is a good thing. We don't disagree with that. I have grandchildren. I have sons that graduated from Carroll County schools. I have grandchildren that have graduated from Carroll County schools. And I have a granddaughter at Carroll County High School right now. I want someone with a background check, okay? That is good. But it's done at our expense. We pay for it. Now, all of these things that we have to do, these hours we had to spend, so on and so forth, there's no compensation to us for that. And a recent article in our local newspaper said, free training. Well, it's always been free, okay? You just didn't get compensated for your time. School bus drivers' life must be planned around the school bus route, such as a second or a part-time job, 1 and 2 hour delays, early dismissals. We are on call at all times, just like firefighters and the rescue squad. Now, we can say without any doubt there is a shortage of bus drivers in our school system. And without any reservation, we believe this is due to the non-benefits issue. However, may we say that our transportation manager, David Kinzer, and our transportation secretary, Melissa Chappell, do an excellent job under very difficult circumstances to cover all the routes and still manage to treat all of us with dignity and respect, not to mention appreciation. Also, we say thank you to the bus garage mechanics. Now, to the Board of Supervisors, this is probably one of the most important things that I'm going to bring up. We are confident that you all are always striving to attract new business and new industry to our county. Also, we only want the best for our county and our school system. One of the very first things that any new possible business or any possible industry looks at, one of the first things they look at is our school system. And I guess I'm wondering, is this the image that we want to project, that we have a problem recruiting school bus drivers as evidenced by the local newspaper articles, want ads, school website ads, not to mention the huge banner sign at the main intersection in our town, the red light. We have a driver here right now who came from another state, and he said the first thing he saw, and he's sitting back here, the first thing that he saw when he came into town, school bus drivers needed. Well, thank him for driving. Okay, that's all I guess I can say. We, as school bus drivers, we take on a tremendous responsibility each and every day to safely transport the students of Carroll County, which is not always easy. And you really don't want me to go into all the reasons that it's not always easy. If you want to, you can go back and look at that Carroll County, little thing that was put in Carroll News, I think, right after May the 8th. And I'll tell you what a difficult job that it is. And it's not always easy. But the one thing I would say is we are proud of who we are and proud of what we do. I personally love this county. I love where I live. I even like being Bobby Martin's neighbor, okay? So, I'm proud of that. So in conclusion, we have come to the Board of Supervisors, and we respectfully request that our supervisors help us to make this situation right so that all bus bus drivers are equal. And I think if we're all equal and we go back to this small number, do the benefits, give the benefits, and then each new person that is hired can be added one at a time. When I came back 5 years ago, there wasn't such a thing as a route becoming open, okay? I subbed for over 2 years just to work my way into a regular route. So, you know, help us to make this situation right. We sincerely do thank you. We appreciate you. We thank you for your time. We thank you for your attention. And I just can't once again say how much that we do appreciate you. And I promise you, I won't talk about water. I live in town. Try that one on for size.
Can I comment on this? Ms. Montgomery, you're preaching to the choir right here, because I am one of you. No, I am, and I know what you go through.
I know you do.
And for the board to tell you that, the school board to tell you that, when the board approached the supervisors with their budget, I made it a point to talk to them about transportation. All of them were sitting right back there, including the superintendent, and because she had made the comment that they had a huge problem with transportation. And I told her, I said, let me tell you what your problem is. And I brought it to every one of them's attention. Now, I'm new on the board here, and I don't think we can line item their spending. Is that correct? We can approve or disapprove the amount of money, but we can't tell them how to spend it, okay? But I told them exactly what the problem was. I even asked them the question, why, when a driver retires with benefits, can't you just pass those benefits to the next hire? Oh, we can't do that. And I didn't understand it. I even asked them that night, I said, you need to go down to the bus garage and ride a route and see what these drivers go through. And for them to tell you that because we approved their budget, that they can't do it, that's all I'm going to say about that.
And I can tell you that whenever you talk about the line item, I've done many budgets, okay? And I know that you don't line item them.
Right.
So, and this is what I said to them, okay? In a letter, because we had not gotten any response. We've heard nothing, no response. So a letter was written from all of us, and I said, utilize that category of the line item discretionary spending. Some people call it miscellaneous expenses, but I can just tell you every budget is done with an item in there, because you're going to have things that are going to come up, so on and so forth. And the only reason I guess that I look at you all is I know that no matter what, you all are taking care of the taxpayer money. And you all are taking care of, as I said, our taxpayer money. And I just can't emphasize enough. Give it back. You won't have a shortage.
Oh, I understand.
And we won't have the banner down at Burger King. Okay. Anything else?
Yep. That same meeting Joe was talking about, I had a brother that was a bus driver. He retired 2 years ago. And I brought it up in that meeting that they should have the benefits for the bus drivers. Did I not?
Yep.
I said they cannot go to Walmart and be a greeter because school may be delayed.
Yes.
Early dismissal because of power, water, or whatever. And I brought that out in that meeting. It was important that they have benefits for the bus drivers because they're the first one that sees the child in the morning and they're the last one that sees them in the evening.
And I make a point every morning to speak to each one of mine that gets on, so on and so forth. But to go back to what you said, I guess the thing that makes it, very difficult for us to kind of swallow it, and I'm speaking to you all personally, to swallow it, is that there's only about a dozen of us.
Oh, no.
Only about a dozen of us. And everybody else has full benefits. And as I said, we do the same job. We have the very same responsibilities. We have those kids that crawl under the seats, over the seats, and so on. And we all have that. So I just implore you all, if you have, and I know you have influence, and I appreciate what you have said, but absolutely. But our shortage is not due because of retirements and personal illnesses. The majority of it's because there are no benefits for new, full-time, contracted bus drivers, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I got my license in 16.
I actually had mine since 1971, the first time. And Bobby, don't you tell him how old I am. Mr. Martin, I'm sorry.
32 years old, I know.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to keep being an advocate on this board for you all.
Thank you.
And keep trying to work with the school board to get them put back in. Don't know how we can do it, but that's one of my pet peeves. It really is.
Thank you.
Thank you for the job you do.
Thank you all very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak? Any citizens wish to speak? I reckon that's it. We'll move on to supervisors' time. Since Bob's talked a lot, I'll start with you, Joe Neal.
I just felt okay. Too much. All right. I want to thank everybody that came out tonight and brought up the issues that they brought to us. Like I say, I'm a new kid on the block and still learning the job of what to do. And I'm not aware of a lot of things till it comes to us. But I appreciate citizens' input. Last month we had some citizens here about a trash dump that nobody knew about. So we're looking at that and trying to take care of that. Hopefully, this board, the one thing I'm proud of this board this year, we didn't raise taxes and we didn't cut any services. And that was a big step in trying to get the county back on its feet. And I was really proud of that. And we've agreed, the 5 of us that's here and the 6th one that's on vacation, that's going to be our main topic, is make sure every tax dollar is spent properly and wisely and used where it needs to be. But along with that, you got to spend money to make money, and that's part of the game, you know. I know the one gentleman was upset about the fact our taxes are higher than a neighboring county. I understand that, and we need to look at it and we need to work on it. There's a whole lot of things that need fixing that we can't fix tonight or overnight or maybe in the next year. But we're aware of them, or at least I'll say I'm aware of them. I'm going to work as hard as I can for them to make sure that everybody in this county is treated right and all the services that they need are taken care of. And, you know, I just want to say again, thank you all for coming. Thank the staff for the job they do. It's unbelievable. Had no idea when I got into this job what it was all about, but the countless paperwork and budgets and finances and monies and all this sort of thing, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. But I took it for 4 years, and I've only got 3 years and 6 months left, but who's counting? No. Again, thank you all for your input, and we'll take it all under advisement, and we'll work however the law allows us to work. And thank you all.
The one thing that I would say
Yes, ma'am.
is I told Mr. Martin, this is my better half.
Uh-huh.
Our taxes are paid and no water bills paid.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Go ahead.
I do want to thank everybody for coming out, and I want to thank, talking about taxes there, thank all of them for working with us and give us the budgets, and they cut out as much as they could and kept us from having to have a tax increase. I appreciate that. The sheriff back there, he done a super job for us as all the others did, and I appreciate it. Appreciate the job he does for us. And I'm a total opponent to the non-user fee, as all of them spoke tonight. I've been against it from day one. I voted against people that was for it, and still I don't like it. If I go over to Chevrolet place and walk the lot, look in every vehicle, get in the ones that's unlocked, and I sit down in them, drive out and don't go in and sign any paperwork, I don't owe nothing, you know? So I just totally oppose it. I know some needs the water. If they can afford to buy it, then fine. If they can't, well, what we're gonna do? Where the water system's in, you can't get a well digger to dig a well, I understand. You can't put in a well. So that's got a lot of the well diggers out, the ones that's out of the area of it, and need a well, they're having to pay more for them. So it's created problems and it's solved problems, so we got problems. Thank y'all.
Dr. Littrell?
Well, it's been an interesting meeting, and I'll leave it at that. But I would like to certainly shine a spotlight on the fact that we have broken the ice over at Wildwood, and we had a great announcement last Friday, and we have our first business coming in there. And I've said all along that once we got the first one, I felt like that more would follow pretty quickly. So that's certainly something, that's a bright spot for the county, and I certainly hope that we'll continue to work hard. I know our staff does, to try to get some other businesses in our industrial park at Wildwood. And thank those who work so hard to do that.
Bob? I'd like for us to take a look at what's involved. We have mobile home requirements in the county, and I'm just wondering if we need to revisit those and take a look at them maybe for the next meeting, because it seems to be a source of concern about several have kind of sprung up in the county, and okay, I'll be glad to. Okay. And the second thing is that I think all of you have gotten an invitation to go to the White House conference. And I think every supervisor in the state was invited to go up to the #1 tour of the White House. And I'm told that, yes, you may take your wife, okay? That was officially, I sent a note up there and got the absolute high exclamation point back. And I intend to go with, we stay with some friends, so it doesn't cost a motel room and so forth. And but there's after a tour of the White House, there is a supervisors conference. I just wondered if any other board was able to go or considering it.
Well, I was told yesterday that I should go, and I had a ride if I wanted to go, so I don't know.
I told Donald that I thought there'd be several of us going, are any of you folks going or able to go, or?
No, sir, I'm not. The only thing I would say, as Nikki was just pointing out, there was a certain time you have to RSVP by in order for the Secret Service to do all their work, so I don't know if that date's passed yet.
See, that's my concern, Bob, it's Secret Service.
Well, I'll put in a good word for you, you'll be all right, but I do intend to go.
You have until June 20th.
June 20th.
And I'd like to echo Dr. Littrell's comments that I know how much time has been put in by Steve Truitt and staff to bring in industry. And the sad thing is, even with the best efforts, sometimes we get shot down competing with other places and so forth. But I greatly appreciate, Steve, the job you've done. And my father-in-law is deceased, and he was a dentist, and he used to say that people would call at 2 o'clock in the night, and their first comment was that my tooth's been killing me for 2 weeks, okay? And they didn't go, Dr. Littrell, to take care of it for 2 weeks, but at 2 o'clock at night, they decided to call. And he's, my father-in-law would say, people don't want to hear the reason. They just want to know if you can come out at 2 o'clock in the night and see them on the tooth. And it didn't matter if you had the flu or your wife was having a baby or whatever, that didn't matter. Sometimes I'm not sure people want to really hear the reason for things as much as they want to know yes or no, and as long as you say, yes, I'm coming out to pull a tooth at 2 o'clock at night, they're okay. I'm sorry I got pulled into an endless debate that had no way of being resolved. It's amazing to me that the concern wasn't there 15, 20 years ago, and suddenly it is. But I can tell you that the majority of people, far from being opposed to it, they're demanding, when are we going to get water? And it has enabled many benefits. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, Bob. It started at the meeting before this one. This is secondary, and some of them are recent. It started 2 years ago, and there may be some policy procedures and things that we should go through when we're going asking for people to sign up, stuff like that. I don't know. It's just stuff we need to look at. But I fully expect to extract my pound of flesh from Robbie for missing tonight's meeting. And,
he needed to be here.
That's right, before he loses all. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight, and all the information we get from the citizens. We may not agree, or we do agree, or whatever, but I'm glad they come out and express their concerns or feelings about everything. And I really appreciate staff, and especially Steve, for the stuff at Wildwood. That would have never happened if he hadn't stayed on top of it. And that's a start. So we have something starting at Wildwood. And I hope it gets better as we go along. And I think that's about everything. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I got one more thing that I need to read. Today's discussion involved the county budget, and this discussion may include funding for the Carroll County Schools. As many as you know, I work at times for the Carroll County Schools. The proposed funding would affect the entire school system and not just me individually, and together we constitute a group of 3 or more individuals who are similarly employed by schools and similarly affected by the decision. Therefore, the exemption of the Virginia State and Local Government Conflicts of Interest Act, Virginia Code Section 2.2-3112B1 applied to this situation, and I'm able to participate in the discussion fairly, objectively, and in the public's interest. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Excuse me. Adjourned.
Can you email me that?